right, folks, buckle up, because today we are diving headfirst into some seriously wild theories, the kind that make you question everything you thought you knew about, well, existence. We're talking about the one and only Alex Collier, the guy who claims to have gotten a personal tour of galactic history straight from the mouths to maybe antenna of extraterrestrials.
And you've been digging through his lectures and articles where, I gotta say, even a quick skim of this stuff had my head spinning.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking 22 different alien races, civilizations that make our history books look like, well, a child's doodle, and space travel that would make even the most ambitious billionaires green with envy. So think of this deep dive as your crash course, your cheat sheet to the wildest and most thought-provoking claims from Alex Collier.
What I find fascinating is how Collier doesn't just suggest a few revisions to our history textbooks. He tosses the whole thing out the window. Millions of years of extraterrestrial activity right here on Earth, shaping everything from our evolution to the rise and fall of entire civilizations. He paints a picture of a planet that's been a bustling intergalactic hub for longer than we can even fathom.
And he really means millions of years, too. Like, Collier talks about these beings called the Siakar reptilian, by the way, from a star system called Alpha Draconis, showing up on our doorstep a staggering 8,997,001 years ago. You try wrapping your head around that timeline. We're talking a civilization with spaceships nearly 9 million years ahead of us.
It's mind-boggling, right? And here's where it gets really wild. These Siakar weren't just dropping by for a quick hello and a cup of space fuel. They were hydrogen-based life forms, meaning they needed a very specific environment to survive.
So they did what any self-respecting spacefaring civilization would do. They terraformed. They built their own little slice of home right here on Earth. Collier calls them Eden biospheres. These completely self-contained environments with the perfect atmosphere, gravity, and everything else a hydrogen-breathing reptile could ask for.
Exactly. And the Siakar weren't the only ones setting up shop. Collier describes a whole bunch of other races establishing their own Edens, each tailored to their unique physiology. Like the Orions, from the stars Rigel and Betelgeuse, who allegedly settled in what we now call China, a mere 763,132 years ago. Practically yesterday in cosmic terms.
Right. It's like Earth has been this giant welcome mat for extraterrestrial tourists for millions of years. And get this, Collier even claims that our own ancestors, the vegans or Lyrans as they're sometimes called, had a hand in shaping Earth's history. Known for their empathy and, get this, mastery of sound, we're talking a civilization that communicated and potentially even built technology using sonic frequencies.
Now, that's a concept that really challenges our understanding of what's possible, isn't it? We tend to think of technology in terms of metal and wires and circuits, but what if there are entirely different ways of harnessing energy, of interacting with the fabric of reality that we haven't even begun to imagine?
It's like we're still using stone tools while these guys were composing symphonies that could power entire cities. It's both awe-inspiring and a little humbling, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But if these advanced civilizations were hanging out on Earth millions of years ago, where'd they go? Well, Collier believes their legacy lives on in some of our most enduring myths and legends, Lemuria and Atlantis.
The lost continents, shrouded in mystery and speculation. But according to Collier, these weren't just mythical places. They were real, thriving civilizations, centers of interspecies collaboration and mind-blowing technological advancement.
Imagine Lemuria, nestled in the Pacific Ocean, a melting pot of Lyrans, Sirians, Pleiadians sharing knowledge and technology that would make our current achievements look like, well, child's play.
And Atlantis, with its legendary advanced technology and sudden, tragic disappearance, a mystery that's captivated historians and conspiracy theorists for centuries. Collier adds another layer to the story, claiming it was a hub for Pleiadians, Andromedans, even beings from the Sagittarius constellation. It's almost as if Earth was this cosmic United Nations, a meeting place for galactic civilizations.
Until, of course, it all went wrong. But what if those conflicts weren't limited to our little blue planet? Collier also describes this council of alien races, the Andromeda Council, trying to keep the peace on a galactic scale. Imagine trying to maintain order across a galaxy teeming with diverse species with their own agendas and, let's face it, probably some seriously advanced weaponry.
The Andromeda Council, huh? Sounds like the galactic version of the United Nations, only way cooler, but also maybe way more stressful. I mean, what kind of intergalactic conflicts are we even talking about here? Trade disputes over dilithium crystals, border skirmishes with laser cannons.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because according to Collier, those differences aren't just skin deep. They cut to the very core of how these civilizations operate. Take the Siakar again, for example, those hydrogen-based life forms we talked about. Well, their whole experience of reality of time and distance is completely different from ours because they're bound by the speed of light.
Okay, now you're really blowing my mind. So while we're just figuring out how to launch rockets into space, these guys are dealing with a cosmic speed limit that makes even light speed feel like a snail's pace. How do you even begin to build a galactic civilization with that kind of limitation?
It's a concept that's hard to wrap our heads around, for sure. But think about it this way. Imagine trying to negotiate a treaty when one side perceives time in millennia and the other in mere decades. It'd be like trying to have a conversation with someone speaking a completely different language, only the language is time itself.
Wow, okay. That's a recipe for some serious misunderstandings, right? No wonder Collier talks about these wars of enforcement. It sounds less like good versus evil and more like a clash of perspectives, vastly different ways of experiencing the universe.
Precisely. And it throws a whole new wrench into our understanding of conflict, doesn't it? Because how do you even begin to resolve disputes when the very fabric of reality is perceived differently by the parties involved?
It makes our own human conflict seem pretty insignificant in comparison. But if this Andromeda Council is supposed to be this galactic peacekeeping force, what's the deal with this potential war of enforcement Collier mentioned happening right here in our solar system in 2024? Are we talking Independence Day style invasion or something a little more nuanced?
Well, according to Collier, it's more about removing what he calls regressive extraterrestrial presences from our corner of the galaxy. Now, I know that might sound a little out there, but it does raise a fascinating question. What exactly makes a civilization regressive in a cosmic sense?
Right. Is it purely about technological advancement, or are there ethical considerations as well?
It's a question worth pondering, that's for sure. But what I find really fascinating is this idea that our understanding of intelligence might be far too limited. For example, Collier claims that dolphins and whales are considered to be philosophers and poets throughout the galaxy.
Dolphins as philosophers. Now that's a concept I can get behind. But seriously, it does make you wonder if we're just scratching the surface when it comes to understanding intelligence, both here on Earth and out there in the cosmos.
It challenges our anthropocentric view of the universe, doesn't it? We tend to equate intelligence with things like technology and language as we understand them. But what if there are other forms of consciousness, other ways of experiencing and interacting with the universe that we're just not equipped to comprehend?
It's both humbling and incredibly exciting at the same time. Okay, so we've got dolphin philosophers, galactic peacekeeping forces, and the possibility that our entire understanding of history is about to be turned upside down. But hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive into one of the most mind-bending concepts yet. Collier's claim that there are 17 tubes of focused time scattered throughout our galaxy, connecting distant points like some kind of cosmic subway system.
It's a concept that bears a striking resemblance to the scientific notion of wormholes, these theoretical tunnels through space-time that could potentially allow for faster-than-light travel.
So instead of taking thousands of years to travel between star systems, you just hop on the Cosmic Express lane? Sign me up. But seriously, the implications of that kind of technology, both in terms of exploration and, let's be honest, potential conflict, are staggering.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the sheer scale, the unimaginable vastness of what we're dealing with when we start exploring these unconventional narratives. It's both awe-inspiring and a little bit terrifying to contemplate, wouldn't you say?
No argument here. But speaking of mind-blowing concepts, we haven't even touched on Collier's idea of upliftment. This idea that advanced races can actually guide the evolution of other species, helping them ascend to higher densities of existence.
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? This idea that there might be these incredibly advanced beings out there who are not only aware of us, but actively invested in our progress as a species.
It's almost like we're all students in this cosmic school, and there are these benevolent seniors who've been there, done that, and are now eager to share their wisdom and help us graduate to the next level.
And according to Collier, that graduation ceremony might be closer than we think because he also talks about the possibility of a massive download of knowledge, a sort of cosmic software update for our collective consciousness, revealing the truth about our history and our place in the universe.
And a knowledge download, huh? That's a wild thought. Like suddenly all those history books we thought were set in stone, all those timelines and origin stories become instantly outdated, replaced by, well, the truth, whatever that might be.
It's a tantalizing idea, isn't it? This notion that everything we thought we knew about our past, about our place in the cosmos, could be completely revolutionized in an instant. It's exhilarating for sure, but also a little daunting, don't you think?
Exhilarating and daunting pretty much sums up this entire deep dive into Alex Collier's work. We've covered a lot of ground today. Ancient reptilian races, dolphin philosophers, galactic peacekeeping forces, cosmic subway systems, even the possibility of a universal knowledge download. I gotta say, Collier's claims are definitely not for the faint of heart.
That's part of what makes exploring these unconventional narratives so compelling, though, wouldn't you agree? They push us beyond the boundaries of what we think we know, forcing us to confront the vastness of what we don't.
Absolutely. And even if we approach these claims with a healthy dose of skepticism, even if we don't necessarily buy into every single detail, there's still something incredibly valuable about engaging with these ideas. It reminds us to stay curious, to question our assumptions, and to never stop exploring the mysteries of the universe.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So if this deep dive has piqued your curiosity and you're ready to explore further, I encourage you to check out Alex Collier's lectures and articles for yourself. Dive in with an open mind and see what resonates with you. You might just discover a whole new way of looking at the cosmos and our place within it.
And who knows, you might even find yourself striking up a conversation with a dolphin or two. Until next time, folks, keep those minds open, keep those imaginations firing, and thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.